Okay. Has the teacher not provided the syllabus yet? Priyanka, has the teacher not provided the syllabus yet to you?
Sir, they won't tell actually like separately the syllabus, sir.
I don't understand why the schools behave like this. Like they need to be very clear about the syllabus. Anyways, let us do some questions. So you guys answer to me first of all. Both of you turn your cameras on in the class. Tell me some examples of mineral acids. Give examples of mineral acids.
Like man-made acids or natural?
Repeat again.
Sir, they are man-made acids or natural?
They are natural acids now. Mineral acids, they are the acids that are prepared from the minerals of the earth simply. Now, actually, they are man-made. I didn't miss that. They are man-made acids. Yes, Priyanka.
Sulfuric acid.
Sulfuric acid, good.
And phosphoric acid.
Phosphoric acid, very good.
Nitric acid.
Nitric acid. Well done, well done. Okay, now. So the acids prepared from the minerals of the earth, they are called as mineral acids, and they are man-made acids. Okay, now, and also they are known as laboratory acids also because they are used in the science laboratory to perform various experiments. You have mentioned some of the common mineral acids like hydrochloric acid, phosphoric acid, sulfuric acid, and nitric acid. Okay, also concentrated mineral acid will be very dangerous. Okay, now. Okay, then you guys give me some examples of weak acids.
Sir, acetic acid, ascorbic acid, malic acid, citric acid.
Priyanka? Is Priyanka? We have example of some other acids like tartaric acid is there, carbonic acid, formic acid, lactic acid.
Yes, sir.
Okay, no? Okay. Okay, what do you guys mean by acid rain? What is acid rain? What do you guys understand from this?
Sir, so so when like acids like nitric acid like form like acidic droplets.
Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
the rain contained excess of acid.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Basically, right now. So normally, if the rain which will contain a high level of acid in them will be called as acid rain. But what is the cause of the acid rain? What is the cause of the acid rain? So we know that if you were to burn different kind of fossil fuels, so burning of fossil fuel will release gases. What are the gases released due to the burning of fossil fuel? We have gases like sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide is released. Okay. Gases like nitrogen oxide is released. Nitrogen dioxide. Getting it all of you know. Nitrogen dioxide. And gases like carbon dioxide is also released. Okay. Carbon dioxide. When these gases will go higher up in the air, when they go higher up in the air, and whenever there will be precipitation, so precipitation is basically rainfall, another term used for rainfall. So there what will happen? The raindrops will be combining with these gases. It will be combining with SO2, it will be combining with NO2, it will be combining with carbon dioxide, and as a result, acids will be formed. For example, sulfur dioxide reacts with water to form sulfuric acid. Getting it, guys? Sulfuric acid. So sulfur dioxide will be basically dissolving in the raindrops to form sulfuric acid. Nitric acid will be nitric acid will be, I mean to say nitrogen dioxide, that is NO2, will be reacting with water. You guys don't get confused when I write them in short now? Yes, Abu Bakr, how are you? You guys are able to understand this now when I write them in short like this, sulfur dioxide or nitrogen dioxide? If you guys are getting confused, then I will be happy to write the full word for this.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll be writing the full word so that you don't get confused. Like these are basically the chemical formulas for them. Okay. So what I say that when sulfur dioxide reacts with water, so sulfuric acid is formed. Getting it? When nitrogen dioxide is reacting with water, then what acid is formed? Yes, Priyanka was Abu Bakr, that is nitric acid. Okay, that is formed. Then there is this carbon dioxide gas also. So when carbon dioxide reacts, no, so carbon dioxide, when this will be reacting with water, so thereby an acid will be formed. Can you guys tell me the name of that acid? It is carbonic acid. Good. So these are the acids that will be formed, and the presence of these, yeah.
Sir, like how do you form like H2O? Like how do you form those chemical equations? Like how do you understand them?
Okay, how do I understand these equations? Okay, basically here what happens now, when you will be understanding about the chemical reactions there in the higher classes, you will understand that when we have a compound, when two compounds will be reacting, so the exchange of elements takes place between them. A highly reactive element replaces a less reactive element. Take for example the case of this reaction here. So what basically happens? How does the reaction take place here? Sulfur dioxide, the formula is SO2. Okay. Water is H2O. As a result, the product we get is sulfuric acid, that is H2SO4. Okay. H2SO4 is formed. Now what basically happens here? That this hydrogen is reacting with this. The hydrogen reacts with this whole thing to give you sulfuric acid. Getting it now? Basically, this is reactive. Like one of the element is more reactive than the other one, so it replaces it. Take another example. Let us say we have a compound by the name of copper sulfate. I think you guys have heard of this compound copper sulfate, that is blue in color, right? So say you have copper sulfate. Copper sulfate, it is written as CuSO4. Copper sulfate. It reacts with, let us say, iron. Okay. Now, how does the reaction happen here? See, one of them has to be more reactive than the other. I mean to say, when we look at the iron here, the symbol used for iron is Fe, by the way. Okay, now in short, it is written as iron. If you guys are getting confused, then I will be just writing. Just 1 minute. Say you have copper sulfate plus iron. What are the metals here? Can you guys spot two metals here? There are two metals in this. One is copper, iron. Now, iron is more reactive than copper. Iron is more reactive. So it will replace copper from copper sulfate, meaning that this iron is going to push away the copper from this. So as a result, iron sulfate is formed. And then the copper is left alone. It is left alone. Getting it? What is happening here? So
Yes,
this
sir.
is how the reaction carries out. Like a more reactive element replaces a less reactive element from other substance. This is how it basically happens. So in every reaction, the principle is same. I don't know what is happening today. Like whenever I change the slide, whenever I choose this option, the slide automatically changes. We'll have to fix this. Okay, sorry. So these are the acids because of which we get to see the case of acid rain. Namely, the acid rain will be containing these acids. Okay, now, and when these acids will be falling on the earth, it will be damaging the Okay, you guys tell me. What are the damages that will be caused by the acid rain?
Sir, marble cancer.
Okay, good. And
Sir, like buildings wear down.
hmm?
Sir, like if a human comes in contact, so like
So thereby our skin will be damaged, our hair will be damaged.
yeah.
What about the aquatic plants and aquatic animals?
So they will also be damaged.
Okay, no? We know that fishes and aquatic plants, they will be able to survive in a neutral medium. If the water is neutral, meaning that if it is not very acidic or basic, then they will be able to live in it properly. But acid rain will make the water of lakes, ponds, or rivers too acidic, because of which fish and other aquatic animals will be getting killed. Acid rain also eats up the leaves of the trees. Gradually, acid rain will eat the leaves of the trees also. So if the trees were to lose all its leaf, so the tree might die. Acid rain also causes loss to the farmers. How? They will be damaging the crop plants in the field now, right? That is one thing. Also, acid rain will be damaging the metal structures like the steel bridges also. Getting it now? So that will also be damaged. So these are the damages caused by them. Okay. And I think we did learn about the bases also in the previous class. Right now, that was completed. Okay. So I have few questions from the bases also. From the bases, I have few questions to all of you. You guys answer these questions to me. First of all, you guys tell me, what do we call that kind of base which is soluble in water?
Sir, alkaline.
Alkali, ALKALI. Okay, na? That is the term which we use. Alkali or alkaline both. Okay. Now, bases will be turning red litmus to blue, or will it be turning blue litmus to red? Bases will be turning red litmus to blue or the other way. Yes, Priyanka and Abu Bakr. What happened to you guys? Yeah.
Sir,
Repeat again, red to blue. Right now? Okay, Priyanka and Gauss. So bases turns
red to blue.
exactly. Okay, now it will be turning red litmus to blue. Okay, can you guys give at least 5 examples of bases? Each one of you try to give at least 5 examples of bases. Let's start from Priyanka, you. Guys, quickly start answering. We have to cover this chapter. We have to complete the revision of this chapter. Yes?
Sir, baking soda, sodium bicarbonate,
That is basically baking soda.
ammonia hydroxide,
Good. And okay, time over. Now, Priyanka, you.
Sir,
Hmm.
sir, I have actually a network issue. Can you repeat the question again?
Okay, give some examples of bases. Give some example of bases. You can write down in the chat box. Okay. Ross, you give some example of bases, at least 5 examples.
Sir, ammonium hydroxide, sodium bicarbonate, calcium hydroxide, um, um,
Yes. Sodium hydroxide,
lithium hydroxide,
lithium hydroxide, good.
lithium hydroxide,
Hmm.
one more.
What else?
Sodium hydroxide?
Sodium hydroxide, good. Did you mention magnesium hydroxide?
No, sir.
Magnesium hydroxide is also such example. Okay, now so we have sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, lithium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide, magnesium hydroxide, ammonium hydroxide, sodium carbonate, and then sodium bicarbonate. So these are some of the examples. Okay. Okay. You guys now give at least 2 examples of a strong base.
Sir, lithium hydroxide.
Yeah.
Lithium hydroxide and sir, potassium hydroxide.
Potassium hydroxide, good. Okay, no, lithium hydroxide and potassium hydroxide. Okay. Sodium hydroxide is also a strong base. Okay. Abu Bakr, you tell me, sodium bicarbonate, commonly known as baking soda, is it a strong base or a weak base?
Weak base.
Weak base, good. Okay. Out of the acid and base, which one of them are soapy to touch?
Sir, bases.
Base.
Bases. Okay. Will a dry base be soapy to touch if it is dry, if it doesn't have any water in it? Or an aqueous base will be soapy to touch?
Aqueous.
The base which has water in it.
Okay. What does aqueous mean, Priyanka? Aqueous will mean a solution that contains
Water.
water in it. Okay, no? All right. We had this special case of some of the bases like calcium carbonate. Okay. Calcium carbonate is the chemical name of the limestone, basically, right? Okay. And using calcium carbonate, we obtain quick lime by heating it, right? By heating it, we obtain quick lime from it. And when water is added, you get slaked lime. Okay, now what is slaked lime? Basically, this is calcium hydroxide, isn't it? Calcium hydroxide, we have learned it is a weak base. What is the use of the calcium hydroxide? Where is it used? We did learn about it via this video as well. Yes, Abu Bakr, what is the use of calcium hydroxide? Use that for? Was, what about you?
Making cement.
Making cement. And one more use was there. You guys forgot about whitewash.
Oh yes, sir.
Okay, no? So there also it is used. Okay, why does the calcium hydroxide become hard? Why does it become hard?
Sir, on the wall.
Yeah, on the wall, why does it become hard?
Sir, because it reacts with the carbon dioxide in the air.
Exactly. So carbon dioxide it reacts with carbon dioxide, and as a result, we obtain calcium.
Calcium hydroxide.
No, carbonate.
No, carbonate. Yeah.
Okay, na, calcium carbonate is obtained, and this is white in color, and because of its formation, it becomes hard. Okay. Today we are continuing our discussion from neutralization reaction. Here we'll be learning about neutral substances. Okay, now. So talking about neutralization reaction, it is the property of acid and base. It is the chemical property of acid and base that whenever they react with each other, they form a salt and water, and some amount of heat will also be given. So that is what a neutralization reaction. The reason why it is called as neutralization reaction, because as a result of this reaction, the product that we get is neutral in nature. It is neither acidic nor basic in nature. Okay. So it will neither have any effect on litmus paper or any other indicators. It will not be changing the color of the litmus paper. Neither it will be changing the color of red or the blue litmus paper or any other indicators. Okay, now so that is what a neutral substance is. Out of the reaction of a acid and base, we get a neutral substance which are neither acidic nor basic in nature. Okay, so being a neutral substance, it will not change the color of any indicator, whether it be the litmus paper, whether it be the methyl orange, or any other indicators like turmeric solution, etc. Okay, now So thus we can say that if the solution of a substance in water does not change the color of either blue litmus paper or the red litmus paper, it will be a neutral substance, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes,
Got
sir.
this, guys. Okay. So when we talk about neutral substance, there's a long list of neutral substance. Okay, na? Like you have pure water or distilled water, glucose or common salt, and sugar. All of them are neutral substance. But when we look at the neutralization reaction, we get only one neutral substance in this. That is a salt. Okay, now we don't get water or sugar from this neutralization reaction. So we have this classic example of reaction with between HCl. HCl is the name for is the and NaOH is sodium
Sir,
mhm,
sodium
hydroxide. Okay.
hydroxide.
As a result of the reaction, we get the salt plus water. Okay, now salt plus water is formed in this reaction. That is one thing. So when we take out this salt and when we dissolve it in water, now we have the salt solution, aqueous solution of salt. And when we were dipping the red and the blue litmus paper in this, we observed no change in this. Neither the color of the red litmus paper is changing, neither the color of the blue litmus paper is changing. So thereby it was concluded that it is a neutral substance. Okay, now furthermore, neutralization has several impacts in our daily life. There are lots of places where we get to see this neutralization reaction. Okay, since all of you would have learned about this previously, so you guys first of all tell me, where do you get to observe neutralization in your daily life?
So like if you get stung by an ant, you can take moist baking soda and you can like put it on the
On the area where you have been
yeah.
stung. Good. Okay, so Gauss has given one good example. Yes, you guys also have to give example. Yes. And why you guys have turned your cameras off in the class? For those who are having network issue, I can understand that. But what about the others? Why you guys feel I show shy, very much shy about this? Huh?
Sir, my hair are right now bad, so
Okay. Anyways, let's say tomorrow you will be addressing, let us say, hundreds and thousands of people. Let us say you are tomorrow you are going to address some meeting. You are in a company and you have to address the employees of your company, or you have to give a speech in front of hundreds of people. So your confidence starts to build from your primary school only. Okay, now the confidence to speak in front of people, the confidence to appear in front of the people and have a conversation with them. So you guys need to work upon that also. Okay, no? So this is also part of the personality development. Okay. So there's nothing to be shy about these things. And in fact, in order to have a proper interaction in the class, it is important that you guys turn your cameras on in the class. From the next class, try to be in a proper room, in your proper study room, and also try to avoid if there's any background noise in your home. Try to sit in a quiet place. Although usually I haven't observed any background noise from you guys, that's good. Okay, no. Anyways, yes, Abu Bakr and Priyanka, you guys still haven't answered this question. You guys, at least one example I'm expecting from both of you. Yes.
What is the question?
The question was, give an example of neutralization reaction in the daily life. Okay, anyways, let me revise this.
Sir, if you have like any acidity, you drink antacid to
Good. Get a relief from indigestion.
reaction and digestion.
Okay, good. Very good. Priyanka, you?
Sir, like, are you asking an reaction?
Just an example of neutralization in our everyday life, where an acid will be reacting with a base.
Sir, hydrochloric acid
Huh?
plus sodium hydroxide.
Okay, do we get to see this in our everyday life? This is something which we'll be carrying out in a chemistry lab now.
Yes, sir.
I've asked examples from our everyday life. Like Gauss give the example of the ant sting. Ant sting contains an acid called as formic acid. So when an ant will be biting a person, it injects an acidic liquid into the skin of the person that causes a burning pain. So if an ant is stinging a person, then rubbing with a mild base like a baking soda solution, or you can even use a calamine solution on that stung area will give you relief. Okay. Also, calamine solution contains a base called a zinc carbonate. If you don't know, calamine solution that contains a zinc carbonate, which is a base. Then indigestion, that was the example given by Abu Bakr. We have several other areas like in the treatment of the soil also. huh? Soil may be acidic or basic by nature. It might be acidic or basic. Okay, no. So the thing is that the plants will not grow well if the soil at a place is too acidic. If the soil is too acidic, the plants will not grow. And in fact, if the soil is too basic, then the plant will also not be growing. Why does the soil become acidic? Uh, because of the excess use of chemical fertilizers, the soil will become too acidic. So if the soil is too acidic, you will see that the farmers will add bases like calcium oxide, that is quick lime, or they can even add calcium hydroxide in the soil. Why? Because soil on one hand is acidic. Upon addition of the basic substances like quick lime or slaked lime, I will be doing a neutralization reaction in the soil. Okay, no? So farmers should be adding these in the fields if the soil is too acidic. Right now, that is the case when the soil is too acidic in nature. Upon addition of quick lime or slaked lime, the soil will become normal. It will become neutral. Getting it, guys? So if
Yes, sir.
soil is acidic, then what should I do? I should be adding quick lime, and either I can add slaked lime. Okay, now. By the way, these are the common name we use. But what actually is quick lime? Yes. Quick lime is the common name used for calcium oxide. Okay, na calcium oxide. Okay. Calcium oxide. While slaked lime is the name used for, so common name given to calcium. Yes.
Calcium, calcium hydroxide.
Calcium hydroxide. Okay. Calcium hydroxide. Okay, no. Got this. Okay. Now, what if the soil is too basic in nature? Right now, we learned if it is acidic in nature. So, if the soil is too basic in nature, so thereby we need to add some acidic substance in it now. So, if the soil is too basic in nature, then you guys tell me. For those of you who have studied this chapter from me earlier, I think you guys will be able to answer if you have been revising the chapter time to time. Yes. I'm giving few seconds to all of you, in fact, or was you also to think about this.
So can you repeat the question?
Question is that if the soil is too basic in nature, then what should be added to the soil to make it neutral, to neutralize the soil?
Sir, acids.
Acids. So what substance will be containing acid? Should we just go on to pour some acid on the field? Will that be the better idea? That might in fact kill the good bacteria present in the soil now. If you were to directly pour the
Yes.
acid, then what should be done? We must prefer using
Uh,
something that is natural and organic. Okay, now?
say cow dung.
Yeah, we can use that, or we can use some manure or compost, basically. That can be prepared from the cow dung and lot of other waste. So if the soil is too basic in nature, then we add manure or compost in the soil. Getting it, all of you? What happens when these decaying organic matter will be put into the soil? So these decaying organic matter will release acids. It will release the acid. So their acid will be reacting with the base, and hence the basic nature of the soil will be reduced. It will be neutralized. That is the way how the farmers would be maintaining the quality of the soil. And if a farmer doesn't have any have knowledge of this, they are not practicing scientific methods, so then the farmer will always be in loss. In fact, it's only in India where I observe that the farmers are poor in India. Uh, what do you guys think, that why is it so that the farmers of India are poor while farmers of United States of America are rich? What could be the reason behind this?
So, because they're like uneducated and like they don't use like scientific methods.
Okay, that is one thing, but there are some other reasons also. This is obviously one of the reason that they are not being educated properly. Okay, now, and they don't use the scientific methods. That is good. Also, one of the important factors now that like when we talk about scientific methods, so they are not using the they are some of the farmers are still relying upon the traditional methods of irrigating and sowing the land and harvesting as well. Okay, now, like they would be using some old methods of providing the water to the soil. They don't know the like uh, like they don't consider the pH level of the soil and other things. Particularly when we look at the case of the American farmers now, American farmers by area they have huge farms. Their land holding is much more as compared to a average Indian farmer. Indian farmers have very small holdings of land. Like an Indian farmer on an average would be having 1 acre land, 2 acre land, and 3 acre land. But when we look at the American farmers, so their average farm site would be more than 400 acre. Try to understand this. An average Indian farmer just has a 1 to 2 acre of land. So if you have a small land, the produce will be limited on that now. But on in comparison to an Indian farmer, a United States farmer has about 400 acre of land. So obviously the produce will be more because of the size difference. Another important thing is that the scientific methods and the advanced tools that they use to cultivate and grow the crops. Okay. Some of the other areas where we observe neutralization is that we know that the factory waste that is released generally are acidic in nature. They are acidic in nature. So, so if these untreated factory waste were to be discharged into different water bodies, so thereby the acid present in them will kill the aquatic fishes. I mean to say fishes and the aquatic organisms. Okay, now apart from fishes, there are lots of aquatic organisms. Aquatic plants are there, so that will be killed, and that will further lead to water pollution. So acidic waste should be treated with some basic substances to neutralize it before discharging them into water bodies. That is one thing. Then in the case of indigestion, a common antacid called as milk of magnesia, that is basically magnesium hydroxide that is given. Okay, no? So if a person is suffering from indigestion or acidity, so thereby this is given. Basically, this is what happens in the case of acidity. Okay, no? Like if you will be eating too much of junk food, you have eaten too much of oily and too much of junk food, then you are most likely to suffer from acidity. Usually in the adults it does not happen. Usually when the person crosses the age of 40, 50, so they are more likely to suffer from this condition of acidity. You guys might not have suffered from acidity because your metabolic rate is better right now, your digestion is good. But as the people become older, so thereby their digestive system will become weaker, and if they were to eat lots of oily and junk food, this problem might be common in them. So here what is happening, this is an acid reflex. This is called as an acid reflex. Here what is happening, the acid might go back into the food pipe. Here as you can see here, this acid is going back into the esophagus, that is the food pipe. So due to this you might feel a burning sensation in your chest. But once you have taken an antacid tablet, the tablet being basic in nature, it will neutralize the effect, and thereby you get relief from it. In the pH of maintaining the pH level of soil, we have just learned this, that if the soil is too acidic in nature, So it has a pH less than 7, right? The pH is less than 7. Got this now. So addition of bases will restore its pH level back to 7. While when when the soil is very basic in nature, so its pH level is more than 7. So addition of acid in this will return the pH back to normal. So that is one thing. You guys answer these questions and then we'll be learning, going to the next topic. Let me just put this on charger. You can answer it in the chat box.
Okay, sir.
Also, let me number these questions. Like this one is the first one and the second one. This is also, you guys let me know which chapter you guys would like to discuss in the next class. You can write that down in the chat box. The answer for the first one, that is not appropriate. Was the answer for the first one is not appropriate. It is less likely that milk will treat indigestion.
Sir, can you explain the question?
The question number 1 says that as we have studied in the chapter, that which substance is used to treat indigestion according to the chapter. Like in the chapter, as we have learned so far, there's a substance that can be used to create indigestion. I meant to say that. Oh, okay. I didn't look at it. Okay. I thought there was an option by the name of milk also there. Anyways. I thought like milk is also mentioned there in the option. I didn't look at it properly. Okay, that is correct. Was for the first one you're answering, yeah, that is correct, Abu Bakr. And for second one also that is correct. Priyanka, you getting the answer? You understood the question or not?
No, sir.
What's there to be confused in this? Which substance is used to treat indigestion? We had learned here magnesium hydroxide, also called as milk of magnesia. It is used to treat indigestion now,
Yes, sir.
right? What is the primary component of antacid? Like this antacid, what does it contain? Magnesium hydroxide. Both of them,
Yes,
in
sir.
fact, are the same thing now. Okay, now you guys answer this question as well. Which substance is used to neutralize acidic soil? I'm doing some changes in this question. All of you just hold on for a minute. By the way, right now your answer is correct. Whatever you guys have answered right so far. Now tell me. Yeah, so for
So
your
what's
answers,
the last option?
both B and E.
Okay.
Previously, you have answered ammonium hydroxide gas. No, that is not correct.
Sir?
Yes, your answer is correct, by the way, Priyanka. Yeah, Priyanka, I'm listening. Yes.
No, sir.
Yeah. All of you Good. So that is now option number F. As we had learned about the sleek lime, that it is also added by the farmers as we were discussing about the treatment of soil. And quick lime is also used. Okay, so that will be the right answer, option number F. Then apart from salt, there is a range of other products that are neutral in nature. We had the example of lots of things like pure water. It is neutral and it has a pH level of 7. So thereby it is neutral. Apart from this pure water or sugar solution, that is also neutral in nature. Okay, now that is also neutral in nature. That is one thing. Okay, we'll be later on learning about pH scale once again. Okay. Let us now learn about salts. Salt is a substance that is formed by the reaction of an acid with a base, right? We have an example of, let's say, sodium chloride, and it is formed by the reaction of hydrochloric acid and sodium hydroxide. Okay. So in a way, we can say that a salt has two parent, and acid and a base. Can't we say that? A salt has two parent, isn't it? Abu Bakr, Priyanka, and Gauss. One is acid, another one is a base.
Yes, sir.
So definitely the name of the salt will contain two parts. The first part of the salt's name will be derived from the name of the base, and the second part of the salt's name will be derived from the name of the acid. Name of the acid. For example, in this one, I have taken this example. Let me write this in terms of word. We have hydrochloric acid. And the another one is, what is this, guys? Sodium hydroxide. Okay, as a result, we are getting sodium chloride, and you can look at the image of the sodium chloride in the above tablespoon image here on this one here, and then you have this water. So what I was saying that the name of the salt consists of two parts. The first name is derived from this one here is the base, isn't it? And that is the acid. Okay. So the first, yes.
Sir, does 1 or 2 pH level like make a difference?
Yeah, obviously it will make a difference. Okay, it will obviously make a huge difference. Okay, and it's not a difference of only one. It's an exponent. There's an exponential difference. There's exponential difference between the two. If a substance has pH level of 1 and another one has a pH level of 2, it's not like it has a difference of only 1. It has an exponential difference. Several times of difference will be observed. Okay. Okay. So what I'm trying to say here, the name of the salt, the name of the salt consists of two parts. The first part, for example, this here is sodium chloride. This sodium. Sodium is coming from this. The name sodium has been derived from the base here, sodium hydroxide. So the first part of the name of salt comes from the base, and the second part comes from chloride, comes from acid here, hydrochloric acid here. So it has chloric in it. So from there, chloride is derived here. Got this now. So the first part of the salt, sodium chloride, comes from the sodium hydroxide, that is based, and the next part comes from the hydrochloric acid, that is the acid here. Okay. Also, another important thing to be noted down is that salts, I'm writing down few important points here. Salts of hydrochloric acid now. Hydrochloric acids are called as chlorides. For example, here the sodium chloride, hydrochloric acid has reacted with sodium hydroxide. So the salt was sodium chloride. If the hydrochloric acid were to react with, let's say, ammonium hydroxide, so thereby the salt form will be ammonium chloride. Getting it what I'm trying to say? Gauss, you getting it? Abu Bakr,
Yes.
Priyanka? Huh? So the salts of hydrochloric acids are called as chlorides. One of the example is sodium chloride. Another examples would be like potassium chloride, calcium chloride. So these are the some of the examples. Okay, now. Okay. Next, let us take some other examples. Let us take the example of sulfuric acid. Okay, let us take the example of sulfuric acid. The salts of sulfuric acid are called as sulfates. What do we call them as? We call them as sulfates. Okay, so let us take an example of this reaction. Let us say you have sodium hydroxide. I'm giving the example of this one. Okay, let us take the example of an acid. We have to take sulfuric acid here. Let us take an example of a base. Let us take a sodium hydroxide in this. Okay, sodium hydroxide. As a result of the reaction with these acid and base, I must be getting a salt, and the name of the salt will be sodium sulfate. What is the name here? Sodium sulfate. And along with this, what is the next product I will be getting? I will be getting water, isn't it? Water. So here the base and the acids that were reacting with sodium hydroxide and sulfuric acid, and as a result, I have got the salt sodium sulfate. Okay, no? Be it with the case of with the case of other reactions also. Let us say that if if you were to talk about some other sulfates, so you can have, like right now we have sodium sulfate, we can have calcium sulfate also. Getting it, guys? If the reacting acid and bases were, let us say if the reacting acid was sulfuric acid, and reacting base was let us say some other base here, so we can get the sodium, we can get the calcium sulfate also. Let us say that you have sulfuric acid plus calcium hydroxide. Can you guess the name here? I'm giving you guys few time to guess the name. Guess the name of the salt. Water is obvious that water will be getting water, that is obvious. But what will be the name of the salt? Can you guys guess it? Keep this in mind.
Calcium sulfate.
Okay, I'm waiting for others also to respond to this. Priyanka and Abu Bakr. Keep this in mind. What is the rule you have to use to name the salt? The first part of the first name of the salt comes from the base. The first part of the name of salt will come from the base. Next will come from the acid here. Yes, Abu Bakr, what were you saying?
Calcium sulfate.
Okay, very good. Priyanka, you also know? That is calcium sulfate. Okay, now calcium sulfate. So thereby, the salts produced by the reaction of sulfuric acid with any other base will be called as sulfates. Okay, it belongs to a family called as sulfates. Then you have chlorides, sulfates, like this. Similarly, we have some other families of salts, like we have nitrates and carbonates and acetates also. But I'm not going there into that much of depth. Not required to do that much of PhD on that. Okay. So hope you guys have understood that. Now here we have a special case of this. Can you guys name what this disease is? Yes. What is this?
Sir, goiter, I think.
Okay, no? That is goiter. Why does a person suffer from goiter? Why does a person suffer from goiter? That is the question here. Yes. The reasons.
So
Why a person suffers from goiter? Why a person will be suffering from goiter? What is the main reason for this? Yes. The main reason is that we know that in the deficiency disease, you would have learned about if a person's diet has deficiency of iodine in it. Okay, no? Thereby the person will be suffering from it. Okay, no? The most common cause for goiter in the whole world is the iodine deficiency. So when the body does not have enough amount of iodine to produce the thyroxine hormone, so thereby the person will suffer from this. So there is a gland in our throat called as thyroid gland. This is a gland called as thyroid gland. Okay, now Okay. And we know that glands are special organs in our body. Like you have this thyroid gland, you have pituitary gland, you have adrenal gland. So the glands are special kind of organs whose functions are to secrete some chemical substances like hormones, like saliva, like sweat, like oil, milk, etc. So the sweat that comes on our skin, it comes from the sweat gland. Saliva, whenever you look at some tasty food, or when you're hungry and when you look at some tasty food, your mouth gets watered. Basically, that is saliva. Where does that come from? It comes from the salivary gland in your mouth. Just like those glands, we have a gland called as thyroid gland. And in order to secrete the chemical substance, in order to secrete a hormone called as thyroxine hormone, it requires the adequate amount of iodine. It requires the iodine in adequate amount. Getting it, guys? So due to iodine deficiency in our diet, the person might suffer from this. Okay. Now, how does our body get iodine? How do you get iodine? We get it from different kind of food, different kind of supplements, but the main
Salt.
from the salt. What kind of salt? It has to be a iodized salt. Okay, na?
Yes.
So iodized salt is the source of the iodine for our body. Hope you guys are getting this. That's why we should be getting a iodized salt. Okay, now. And iodine is essential for the proper functioning of the thyroid. So the question is, why does it swell and the person looks like this? If your body has a deficiency of iodine, so in order to absorb maximum amount of iodine, it will swell. Its size will increase. To increase the absorption of iodine. Okay, na? That is the thing. Okay, so I think we have done pretty much everything, but there's just one thing left to be discussed. It will take just 1 minute. Let me complete this as well. So there are 3 types of acids. One is acidic, another one is basic, another one is neutral. If 2 strong acid and base are reacting, a neutral salt will be formed. And if a weak acid and a weak base reacts, a neutral salt will be formed. But if a strong acid is going to react with a weak base, so the property of acid will dominate and it will be found in the salt also. So that salt will be somewhat acidic in nature. Or if a weak acid is going to react with a strong base, like this acid over here,